wanted to start somewhere in one of our front student-facing offices because we really wanted to make sure that it was a place where we could have some direct impact on students. And so our undergrad advising office is a place where every student passes through multiple times. Dean Waller, Associate Dean Brent Williams, and Alan Elstern and I were invited out to visit Simmons Foods. As we had these discussions with them, they told us about the importance of process improvement to everything they do. It's very embedded in their culture there. And that really piqued our interest.
I am very much a process-oriented person by nature. But when I was asked to go to the lean training at Simmons Foods in Siloam Springs, being able to go to Siloam Springs and visit with Simmons Foods and spend a full week watching how they do processes and why they are a lean organization and how it's important to them and how it's embedded in their culture helped me get a better understanding of why lean is important to an organization and how studying your processes is not a reflection of your people.
The project that we worked on this semester was for the Walton advising process. We were broken up into teams of about 4 to cover a part of the advising process.
We got connected with Brian Fugate, who was interested in teaching a class in process improvement. So suddenly the vision of influencing students got broader in that it wasn't just about making their lives easier, but actually getting them involved in this entire experience. Everything we do may offer an opportunity for us to engage our students and give them some experiential learning.
A process mindset or process thinking is really built upon a number of frameworks and principles and tools and techniques that ultimately come from Toyota. What it involves is a number of principles. So principles such as understanding your customer, deeply understanding what your customer values, and then principles that lead into figuring out how do we flow value from what we do, either individually or as an organization, to that customer. How do we flow that seamlessly and continuously? How do we remove things that aren't value added in that process? And then how do we focus on the things that are value added?
I think usually the most difficult part with lean or with improving a process is that it's really easy to identify symptoms, but it's not so easy to identify root cause.
We see sometimes students are having trouble coming in getting appointments, or the advisors are having trouble getting the students to actually come in. We really just went with the advisors and actually mapped out the process. And that was the first way to actually identify more specific issues and more specific problems.
Just overall trying to find those areas to improve on, whether it's time with students or working on decreasing the number of walk-in appointments. But overall, it was just finding the waste and eliminating it as much as possible.
It's made us think more analytically about, especially from the student's perspective, and I think this is where it helped having students do this project, is you got from the student's perspective what they saw and what contributions they felt were needed.
Process improvement is all about trying to improve the effectiveness of it. So how do you improve the results that you're getting while at the same time doing it efficiently, so you do it with less effort. There's a percentage of appointments that students don't show up for, and other students can't use that time because they didn't plan for it. And so we map the whole thing out, and as we're mapping it out, the class is also supposed to identify defects or opportunities for improvement. And so at the end of a 2-hour period, we've mapped out the entire process and we've identified all of the defects that we'd like to fix.
We wanted to put into our culture to try to be a lean team and solving problems by those who are actually using the problems, continuing to allow them to have input on problems that we have and solutions to problems that we have, I think has made us a better team.
I would absolutely recommend that other departments on campus go through this process. you never know what the holes in your process are until you have someone look at it with a fresh set of eyes.
I think my biggest advice would be to embrace it. Just because it's a recommendation doesn't mean you have to do it, but oftentimes having somebody look at your process that isn't directly involved is a very good thing. But even if you're going to do it internally, to not be scared of finding places that you need to change.
I was extremely proud of our staff for the openness, their interest in continuous improvement, but also with the students, their willingness to recognize the sensitivity of what they were doing.
So this type of thinking is critical, number one, for our students. So our students are going to be going out and working, and they're going to start their first job, and their manager, their boss is going to walk up to them and hand them a problem and say, help me figure this out. And what we've helped them with this type of thinking is a framework for how to approach that problem. Any problem that they're given, they can go through those steps of understanding where they want to go, where they are now, and how to get there, and how to do that applying scientific thinking.
If you look at our values, excellence, professionalism, innovation, and collegiality, if we think we have the processes figured out, then we don't have those values of excellence, professionalism, innovation, and collegiality. How can we be implementing the Chancellor's 8 priorities without more resources? Continuous improvement is a great way to free up additional resources without having to consume other people's resources. We don't have to compete. We can just make better use of our current resources.
This can be great for the college and what we do, and all the customers we serve, but also really great for our students if we can engage them in this. Whatever their area of study, there's probably a project where they could benefit. That's the ultimate goal.